We're live.
All right, we'll call this meeting to order. Roll call. Do that.
I think we don't have Mr. Nixon here. If no one wants to do the invocation, Chair, we can do a moment of silence.
I'll do it.
All right. You can go right on here, Ms. Hawaza.
Okay. Gracious and Heavenly Father, we come to you this afternoon, thanking you first for all that you've done for us and for supplying our needs. You are a good, good Father. And Father, I lift up the members that are represented here for the city. And I ask, Lord, that we have wisdom and understanding of the information that is set before us, and that we make the best decisions for the city, because the earth is yours and the fullness thereof. In Jesus' name, we give thanks. Amen.
Amen. All right,
Roll call.
what we'll do is I'm going to call your name. If you would just say present, and that's how we'll do the roll call since we're doing some members virtual. Ms. Hawaza Jones.
Here.
Tara Humphrey.
Present.
Mr. Gregory Robertson. Mr. Steve McFarland.
Present.
Yes, sir. Mr. Earl Nixon Sr. Ms. Tracy Lewis.
Present.
Mr. Christian DeMond. Mr. Sergio Sanchez. Ms. Amy Bauer.
Present.
Ms. Elvira Johnson.
I'm here.
Okay. Mr. Mayo Thompson.
Here.
All right. Before we go further, Chairman Thompson, I just want to say that we do have city employees present with us. That is Mr. Brad Hennon and Mayor Chuck Allen. Of course, you know, I just want to make sure everyone understands that the way that the commission is set up, visitors, regardless if they're general public or elected official, do not talk when we're discussing business. Now, once the meeting is adjourned, if visitors or elected officials would like to have a discussion with the commission, which is off the record of official business, that can be allowed. But I just want to make sure that we all remember the rules and regulations. This is for commission members and staff. It's not open to the floor to the general public or elected officials. And with that being said, if that does not take place, we will have to pause the meeting and get it back in order. I just want to give everyone that upfront notice. You can go forth, Chairman Thompson.
All right, we'll just go ahead and adopt the agenda.
Now, the agenda was sent to you all previously. Remember, this is the same agenda also that was sent to you for the June meeting that we were not able to have due to a lack of quorum. So, you know, I hope you've had a chance to review it, and if there's a motion that can be placed to either approve and adopt the agenda as such, or with any revision or changes, we would like to have that go before the commission now.
I make a motion, we accept it. Second that.
For a second.
Mr. McFarland's second, and what I'll do is, if members don't remember, when we have a motion and a vote, I'll just say their names. Ms. Amy Bauer made the motion to adopt the agenda, and Mr. Steve McFarland made the second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All righty, so we adopt the agenda. Approval of minutes.
Yes. In your package, as you will see on the agenda, is indicated that the February 11th regular meeting minute will be deferred until your August meeting. However, I have provided within your package my director talking points from the February meeting, for which I read and referenced directly from. In addition, I have provided the approved minutes from January 14th and December the 11th meetings. All of this is the same information the commission was provided prior to and at the June 9th regular meeting that was canceled due to a lack of a quorum.
Is there a motion to approve? the minutes?
There's no motion, sir. I just had stated that your minutes had been deferred till August, but I was just giving an explanation.
All righty. So we'll go over to 8. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Under old business, it is the updating of your analysis of impediment to fair housing. The commission was briefed during your February 11th meeting on the process for securing a qualified firm to complete an AI to evaluate the barriers to housing choice in Goldsboro. After much consultation between Goldsboro HUD and the interested firms, Goldsboro has selected UNC Greensboro for housing and community studies to assist us and our community stakeholders of developing housing goals that will ultimately increase fair housing choice, build opportunities for all residents, and strengthen communities. Goldsboro has ensured that the HUD I always get that so tongue-tied. The HUD Community Planning Development representative that is assigned to the city of Goldsboro has been abreast on every process that we have taken throughout this, and I can assure you that they have not informed us of any issues concerning the Goldsboro process for securing the firm, our timeline of what we've proposed to develop the plan and provide it to them. I also would like to make it clear that HUD Office of Community Planning and Development, which is also called CPD, does not require grantees to submit a comp plan with an analysis of impediment simultaneously. There has been some discussions in the community that we are out of compliance and we're not. And I had that confirmed from HUD. The AI is recommended to be conducted once every 5 years to look at disparities in access to housing, economic opportunities for protected classes such as race, color, religion, national origin, sex, disability, and familial status. Goldsberg last AI was conducted by a firm called Ask Development, and it was submitted to HUD December 2015. So we are well within our time frame of the recommended time to submit an AI. I also want to tell you all that UNC Greensboro has 5 indicators to complete in this process. And from right now, what they have done is they have completed a preliminary draft of some findings that can't be cited at this time because they're preliminary, but they are from what is called a HMDA analysis, and what that is called the Home Mortgage Disclosure Act, and it requires many financial institutions to maintain reports and publicly disclose loan-level information about mortgages. This data helps show whether lenders are servicing the housing needs of their community, and they give public official information that helps them make decisions and policies, and they shed light on lending patterns that could be discriminatory in your community. The public data, there is a public data that is available, but it's modified differently than what is provided to a consultant firm or the public officials for the privacy of protecting the borrowers and some other information too. So just wanted to tell you all that we've had a kickoff meeting with them. They have access to the information of the surveys that we've had out since April. So that survey that we put out to get a sample size of information for the comp plan, we allow that to continue on so they can use that to go in with the analysis of impediments, because we want to capture that data in that plan as well. So they have access to that. And as I stated, right now they've completed the preliminary discovery phase for mortgage loans in our community. And like I said, they have found some findings in the preliminary, but because it's a preliminary, I'm not allowed to cite them. And they will be reported to you all in the final plan. So in coming months, I'll be giving you all more updates on what barriers to fair housing they have identified in Goldsboro. And of course, the way the comp plan, which we'll get into a little bit later, the way the comp plan is structured, the activities that we already have set up, the funding in that activity will be used to address those barriers to the greatest extent, of course, that Goldsberg can, because we don't have an unlimited amount of resources to do that. but we will tackle them to the most extent that we are allowed to do with the funding that we have available. So I just wanted to give you an update on where we're at with that announcement of impediment for housing, especially being that there was so much talk in the community about that. Is there any question? You all want me to go into more details about the announcement of impediment? Okay. Mr. Chair?
All righty, so we'll go to item B.
All right, that is your 5-year comp plan, or Goldsboro 5-year comp plan, and it's 1-year annual action plan, which was discussed with the members and the general public who participated during the May 22nd virtual public meeting. This is the same plans which was made available to the general public on May 27th and emailed to all members of the commission on June 3rd and June 5th. I will be referring to the information from the commissioner's June 9th meeting slide, that although the meeting was canceled due to a lack of a quorum, this presentation was emailed the very next day, June 10th, to all commission members, and it's the same presentation I presented to City Council on June 15th meeting, just a different background. And you all have this in your package, that slide. So what I'm going to do is just go over the first two, and just as even though we did mention this during the virtual public meeting, I just want to restate it that a comp plan is a 5-year plan that evaluates housing and community development needs, then guides how funds will be spent over the next 5 years, and the action plan are the annual updates that specific, how funding will be spent each year of the comp plan. So we have to do that every year. That's sort of like a recertification or reapplying for our grant. So that's required. On your next page of your slide, you all have where I've showed you all what the template is. And this is the template that's in the online portal with HUD that we're required to key in all this information for HUD. Each one of these templates have subcategories. They have multiple narrative fields in them, and some are optional and some are required. But based off of the way HUD has standard that online system of how you key in this information, it determines how much information is required, if you're given enough of what HUD is requiring you to give, because we do a quality check at the end of once you can do it any time as you're keying in information. But at the end of keying in all your information in this database, you do a quality check, and it lets you know if you keyed in the information that's up to the standards of HUD. And it will give you like errors and what is missing, what doesn't add up, and then it gives you the option to correct it. And we do this when we complete the draft, and then we can do this when we do the final, before we submit it to HUD, so that we don't get it kicked back. And besides, it really won't let you submit it with that quality error anyway. So we try to go ahead and run that. One of the things I do want to just stress to you all that in this year comp plan, if anybody was to have leisure time to read and you want to review the last 5-year comp plan, there's 2 new sections this year in the comp plan that HUD has asked us to do an analysis on, and that's broadband in our community and our hazard mitigation. So that is a new section within the comp plan that Goldsboro has had to provide some information to HUD about. And as I stated, it's in the comp plan that you all received back June 3rd, and I can reference that if need to. Also, the next, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, sir, you're not allowed to ask a question. I'm so sorry. Yes, Hawaza, go ahead.
Okay, yes. I wanted to make sure, going back to, I think, the number 2, does it include the upgrading of pre-existing homes in the community for quality standards? Is that in the plan?
It is, and I'm going to get to that after I pass through these. I'm just going to breeze through these next 5 slides.
Okay.
They're not something I have to go over with you all unless you ask me to.
Okay. Okay.
But the next 7 slides are just an explanation of this cover sheet here of what the template is. If you had any question, like what exactly is that template section, like let's say set up executive summary, what does that really entail? That's why I provided that in y'all slides so you could have that in advance to read and if you had any questions. So what I'm going to do is before I move forward, before I go on to the part where I'm going to talk about these projects, do you all have any questions about the setup, the way HUD has the setup for the comp plan on the online system? Okay. Well, we're just going to breeze through the next 7 slides. And I want you all to go to your slide that has goals and proposed projects identified in the comp plan. Now, to touch on what Ms. Hawaza just said, Goldsberg Comp Plan and Preceding AAP are long-term housing-focused plans outlining the availability of expected resources to achieve priorities on projects and programs, mainly housing, that meet program eligibility requirement, have long-term impact for low to moderate income individuals and families, and help address other federal, state, and local priorities such as fair housing choice and sustainability. As required by HUD within the comp plan, we've provided the associated goals designed to address 4 priority needs in Goldsboro, and they've been referenced in the comp plan on page 68 and 71, as well as 82 and 85 that you received in June. But on your page here in your proposal in your package where it's goals and proposed projects identified, Goldsberg has identified 7 goals that we think in this next 5 years we need to tackle to improve housing and community development needs in Goldsboro. You see, one is affirmative furthering fair housing, increase affordable rental housing option. As was stated in the virtual meeting, we have a lack of affordable housing, rental housing. The one way that a city can impact increased housing stock for rental is through the production of multifamily units. We've talked previously about how Goldsberg is partnering with a developer called MC Morgans and Associates to develop, now it was originally 84 before COVID, and with COVID it's caused some issues though, but it's going to be 80 units of affordable apartments for low to moderate as well as those who are not moderate to be able to rent. Those are the type of projects we want to do. You can also do single-family rentals, but what we found is to get the bang for our bucks, the more units is through multifamily apartment complexes, which many cities are doing a hybrid or just that. So that's what we're looking at for the next 5 years, is partnering with developers to bring in more units of affordable housing.
Is this private land or public land that they're using to build these projects?
This is going to be a private-public partnership. So how that works is you have a private developer who goes after what we call public funding through Goldsboro as leveraging, as well as the state of North Carolina Housing Finance Agency low-income housing tax credits. The beauty of that combination of finance leveraging, it ensures that those units stay affordable. They stay where low to moderate income residents can rent them at affordable rate, no more than 33% of their income. And it's based off of income limit standards of HUD and North Carolina Housing Finance Agency. And also one of the beauties of us providing like home funds is where we would do that. That's the best way to do it because we don't get substantially large amounts of CDBG. Is we get to put what is considered a covenant on that property, which is in HUD's term called an affordability period. And that allows that, with $500,000 right with this deal that we're doing, that affordability guarantees that the city of Goldsboro keeps that unit affordable for 25 years. 25 years it gets to stay affordable. And that's what we're looking to do. We're looking for long-term changes that breaks generational cycles of poverty, struggle. And that's how you do it. Minimizing housing costs and burdens to renters and homeowners. So this is one of the ways to do that. Of course, we have increased affordable home ownership. That's through our home buyer assistance program, as well as working with local developers or what we call nonprofits that do what we are considered CHODO activity, which is community housing development organizations like Habitat, where they build homes for low to moderate income residents. We provide funding to leverage that project as well. One of the other goals that Goldsberg has identified is improving and expanding public facility access and capacity. Now, that seems pretty out there, but one of the things that we're finding is you're not going to get a developer to come into a neighborhood and put up a multifamily or even think about putting up single-family homes as a single project if you don't have good water sewers, if you don't have sidewalks, if you don't have the infrastructure that they need. So what we need to do is, in the past, Goldsboro has utilized its CDBG funds under public facility to do things such as the W.A. Foster Center. We've done basketball courts. We've done tennis courts. We've done an array of things that is more around the amenities of parks and recs. So we have done sidewalks. We did the sidewalks in Slocum Street, but the bulk of our money has not gone towards infrastructure that helps us to bring in developers, which help us produce units, help us improve neighborhoods. Think about it. If you can repair sewer and water in a neighborhood, you can preserve the housing there by preventing flooding and all other issues. So it helps not only for us to bring in new units, but it also helps us to preserve those units that's there. And sometimes when you create the atmosphere of the city of Goldsboro investing in a community, it gives those homeowners or the landlords of those rental properties a buy-in of ownership of wanting to contribute as well and keep their property up. So you're looking at a grand scheme of what this can be done. So that is what that goal is for. Providing essential service and employment training. We all know that low to moderate income residents sometimes.
Mr. Cole, I had a question.
Go ahead.
I had a question. This is Elvira. I had a question about the facilities, number 4.
Yes.
Is that a one-time cost, or is that something that, because I think I saw somewhere in what I was reading that the city has allocated funds for that, but they allocated the same amount of funds over a 5-year period. So is that a one-time cost to set up those public facilities? Or is that a cost that's going to be distributed over those 5 years that the funds are allocated?
In your package, you all have a 5-year printout. Oh, there's funds allocated over the next 5 years because realistically, it makes no sense to allocate for 1 year and do nothing. You're going to have a continuous, what I call reach or investment in improving communities. So it's allocated over 5 years that we can do different projects. And there's no specific project that's been identified except where it's assigned to like the W.A. Foster. The city of Goldsboro has 3 more years for that debt service, and that's it on the W.A. Foster that we were approved by HUD. So, that's the only thing that I can tell you that's a definite assigned project for this next 5 years. The other ones is as determined within our goals and objectives through the city of Goldsboro of target areas where we would go in and do public facility improvements.
Right, but my question was more leaning towards if we're allocating funds to improve the public facilities access and capacity, to encourage builders to come in, for example, to increase the affordable rental housing. Is that a one-time cost for us to set those, to establish those public facilities? I mean, you put down the water and sewer and then you're done, right? We shouldn't have to spend that same amount of money in subsequent 4 more years on that same thing when those facilities have already been established. Seems like you would just have to pay for the upkeep and improvement of the facilities.
Well, the 5 year, the way the money is allocated over the 5 years, it's not for one project. It would be multiple projects. So once you would, let's say I give you let's say North End. Let's say we decide to do a target area in North End, and it's determined that the residents there have a lot of drainage problem, which is true. And we got an estimate, it's about $90,000 to fix it, and it impacts 3 houses right there on that block. That if we fix it, they won't flood anymore. Well, we take care of that, unless there's a vacant lot there, and someone said, well, you know what? They fixed the drainage there. I'm gonna build a house there. Then we move on. We don't unless there's something that comes back that we got to maintain. But typically with public facility, when you're doing infrastructure, you make the improvement and you move on to the next thing that needs to be done. There's not a maintenance of infrastructure with what we're trying to propose.
So the funds that are allocated, they are specifically earmarked for the present projects, housing project, build projects, but then they're unspecifically going to be allocated over the next few years for some projects that have yet to be determined.
Say that first part one more time, Elvira.
So it seems like the funds that are allocated for facility improvements are earmarked for specific housing and projects, like the 80-unit affordable rental option. I'm sure that the city has to do something to prepare for those units to be built. So that's a specific project for right now. But the additional funds that are earmarked to be allocated over the next 4 years or next 5 years, they are for unspecified projects that may come up in the future.
Well, right now in the public facility, there's not a specified project towards the rental. That rental project that we are going to partner with MC Morgan's, there has not been identified any infrastructure that we need to do. So the money that is in the line item now for the next 5 years is for proposed projects that we become aware that would benefit our goal to increase affordable housing. We don't have one set for infrastructure at this time. The funding for the rental deal is through out of home, and that is just for the financing, not for infrastructure. So right now, there's nothing set for a specific project for infrastructure. The only thing that was set specific, as I stated, was the W.A. Foster debt service payment that we have our last 3 years to make. That's it.
Okay. So that was my question, because it seemed like in the budget there was quite a lot, a large percentage of our funding was going towards this item. And I just wanted a little more clarification on what were the specific projects that the public facilities were being improved for, since it was such a large amount, large percent.
To address the large amount that you're stating for public facility, if you all, I mean, this is jumping ahead, but for public facility, the city of Goldsboro doesn't have a substantial large amount. There's only 14% of its total funds allocated for public facility, and that's around, let's say, $671,746. The bulk of the city's plan is housing specific. It's not public facility, but I understand what you're saying, the concern of where those funds are. As projects come available in a target area that the city is looking to revitalize or assist with preservation and creation of housing, we will, address those infrastructure that allows us to maximize our federal dollars along with local dollars. But public facility only has 17% allocated to it. I do know that that's been a comment that has been stated, but that is not factual when you look at the numbers. It's only 14%. But we will bring before the commission, we'll keep you up to date with any projects that we propose to do through public facility or any of these items.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. The fifth goal is providing essential services, and pretty much that's employment training is self-explanatory. We want to provide healthcare services that is not accessible to low to moderate income residents. We want to be able to provide employment training, which would be our best partner would be Wayne Community College, to assist them. And again, when you assist someone that's low to moderate income to improve their living standards, whether it be by giving them skill sets to increase their wages, it also helps them to maintain affordable housing. So that is still geared towards some aspect of housing. The next goal is to provide rehabilitation owner occupied and city owned, which is tackling what you're saying, Ms. Hawaza. This year, the city of Goldsboro is looking, we always utilize our urgent repair to assist low to moderate, extreme and very low, low to moderate income residents with our state funding through North Carolina Housing Finance Agency. That fund is not something that the city of Goldsboro chooses the amount. North Carolina Housing Finance Agency is the one that determines each year how much we're going to get. And typically a city our size is not going to do multiple counties, and we're only doing one. We are typically allocated $100,000, but that is a grant that we apply for each year. It's not guaranteed, it's competitive, but we do go ahead and try to anticipate those funding in our comp plan so that we can utilize those funds or go after those funds to provide rehabilitation or urgent repair needs to our citizens. One of the things that the city comp plan has in it this 5-year cycle that we've never done is the city of Goldsboro will be working with the community relations department will be working with planning and zoning. Properties that are owned by the city of Goldsboro that are not that far gone, we will rehab those homes to put them back on the market for low to moderate income residents to either be able to purchase from the city of Goldsboro through a traditional lender, or city of Goldsboro can become the debt financer or the financer of the loan, servicer of the loan, where the homeowner is making the payments to the city of Goldsboro. We already have something like that set up where when we provide rehabilitation through CBG and home, those home buyers are paying the city of Goldsboro monthly already. This would be more on a bigger scale to where we're rehabbing minimum homes that are dilapidated or in minimum housing standards and getting them back up to standard, back on the tax bracket, but also back in the preservability for low to moderate income residents to reside in. There's also ability with this goal for the city of Goldsboro to have a target area. I would say it would be what we consider opportunity zone areas, which is the most distressed areas in the city of Goldsboro, where instead of us doing demolition of homes or constantly, going through the process till the home goes through all the minimum housing stage and then it has to be condemned and demolished, when it gets to a certain point and the homeowner the owner does not want the property anymore, the city of Goldsboro can acquire that property through CDBG and home funds and rehab that property and put it back out. Greenville and other cities have been doing similar hybrids for, I don't know how long to tell you. We've never been that innovative with our CDBG funds. But now working with the planning department and code enforcement, we can do that. So that's what that goal is encompassing. It is assisting homeowners who own their homes, and as well as tackling distressed areas and getting these abandoned homes and putting them back on the market for low to moderate income residents to be able to reside in those homes. Any questions about that?
Great.
Now, this number 7, I'm not, that's just us talking about program and support administration. That's the admin costs that we have to through HUD. But the proposed projects is on the on the right side, and it talks about fair housing. I think that's self-explanatory how the city of Goldsboro plans on utilizing its home funds with that. Housing counseling. We've got to ensure that homeowners or potential homeowners have enough financial literacy as well as home ownership knowledge to maintain a home or to acquire a home. So that is assisting in that area. Again, we've already touched on public facility, and public services go back to the central services. That is through nonprofits. We would partner with them, provide them funding to provide services to low to moderate income residents. In past, it's been WISH through their in-school health program, Wayne Community College by providing work, intro to manufacturing and other workforce career readiness courses. Another past recipient has been after-school enrichment programs. So there's an array of public services agencies that we could fund. What we will do is put out a call in October for proposals in that area of our concentrated areas that we're looking to assist low to moderate income residents, which is employment, housing, and health care services. So we'll put out that proposal, that request for proposal, and see what we get back. We've talked about the rehabilitation and acquisition, and that line item HUD has there where the city of Goldsboro can acquire property to rehab and allow low to moderate income residents to purchase the home, to reside in, or to, in a sense, let the city of Goldsboro be the service of loan, and they pay the city of Goldsboro so that they can have home ownership. We've talked about Chodo, and again, like I stated, that's like Habitat for Humanity, building new housing for low to moderate income residents. In the past, Rebuilding Broken Places was a Chodo. Goldsboro Development Corporation was a Chodo at once. Theirs was more rental that they provided. They did not do new constructions. We got home buyer assistance, and again, that is in your information. Rental housing development we've touched on, and again, program administration, that is just the admin costs associated with facilitating these programs. The only new thing that I really want to touch on is the COVID-19 Public Service Grant. The City of Goldsboro was awarded COVID money through the CARE Act, and that I've provided to you all in your comp plan the list of agencies that will be providing services that's in response to COVID-19 through that funding. Any questions before I move on? The next 2 slides, or in a sense, the next 5 slides, are just about the funding. The first 2 is how the city of Goldsboro determined what its prior year money was going to be for FY 2021, which we have to give a estimate of what we think our prior year, and what we did was to get the best estimation is basically look at what's in your HUD system for the exact money that HUD is showing that you have in the treasury. So that's the most accurate of saying this is what we anticipate carrying over to the next year to provide assistance along with the allocation that we're receiving. I've also provided to you all here, like I stated, the 5-year, it's in the slide, the very last slide, but I've just printed out a big one to you all because that's real small. So I provided you all the 5-year snapshot of exactly how we plan on structuring these projects to meet the goals and objectives of serving low to moderate income residents over the next 5 years. I can go in more depth if I haven't gone in more in depth to you all. Is there any other questions? I know you've had this information for about a month. I don't know if you've had a chance to chew on it. If you saw something that stuck out that you wanted to ask, like similar to how Ms. Hawaza and Ms. Elvira did. And I thank you all for that, because I know that when people are reviewing this, if you're not someone that does this on a daily basis, it can be somewhat confusing. So I do understand that. Okay. Seeing number, what I'm going to do is also move on that there's a part of our citizen participation plan with the comp plan, development comp plan, where you put it out for 30-day review. You have to have public hearings and meetings. We had a virtual public meeting May 22nd. We had the public hearing, which the virtual meeting was before the commission. And we had the public hearing June 15th before the city council. And then we put the plan out for a 30-day review from the May 27th to June 25th. This is required by HUD for you to do that, to meet the citizen participation requirements for receiving federal dollars. In that process, we've received 3 written comments, and then there was one that we didn't get a written comment for that was also spoken at the public hearing. So we had 3 people at the public hearing that spoke. 2 of those gave us their comments in writing. And for you all that watched, Dr. David Craig hasn't provided us his comments that he stated at the public hearing in writing, but we were able to summarize it and when we spoke with HUD, and it's going to be in the comp plan, and it's similar in nature to the other comments. just to really go back, and it may seem like I'm repeating something, but I really, after talking with my HUD rep, because I briefed her on every process of our citizen participation process as it went forth, even independent processes that we saw. So I want to make sure that I'm informing you all, in depth based off of that. As I stated, I've provided you all the comments we received from the Citizen Participation Plan. I have briefed our Goldsboro HUD Community Planning and Development Rep on those comments received. Also, she was briefed on YouTube videos of other agencies pertaining to the comp plan that was independent from the City of Goldsboro. And I sought her guidance on this response to these comments. Goldsboro received 3 written comments, and there was another set of comments received at the public hearing by Dr. David Chris, similar in nature. Comments received during the public hearing and from the 30-day public review period were related to opposition to Goldsboro's citizen participation process, the allocation of funds, questions on information retained through the consultation from agencies, along with suggestions for other strategies and areas of concern for Goldsboro's consideration within the comp plan. This information was provided to the commission prior to this meeting, and and they were the additional comments that you all may want to contribute to those responses. You can do so as a commission. All comments will be included within the comp plan and AP. And I just want to let you all know that Goldsboro has not made any substantial amendments to the draft. Only changes were administrative in nature, such as page 2 through 12 of the executive summary has been provided more context to include all relevant information up to July 8th. And I will also include any input that is provided from this meeting, as well as well, no, that's it. Anything else from this meeting, that would be the last thing that would be included in the executive summary. You all have also, as I stated, you got Goldsboro response. And I would like to say that the comments were, I thank all of our citizens and private agencies for providing their comments. It assists us, and what it does, twofold, it lets us look at our plan a little bit more for a second eye and see, okay, you've suggested this, do I have this captured somewhere else? And if I do, is it in context with what you're saying? Does it complement it, or does it go a little bit above? And if it's something that doesn't meet a certain standard, we need to add more information, or maybe we need to take you under consideration. But I can tell you that the projects in the AP are designed to address the goals and priorities need outlined in the comp plan of Goldsboro. And Goldsboro sees the comp plan and preceding APs as roadmaps that will lead to Goldsboro citizens and stakeholders' ability to explore additional forthcoming efforts and policies. We do believe that the priority Goldsboro has set, the goals and projects within this comp plan and AP are comparable, if not, comparable to some of the suggestions and alternatives received. And we think we've developed a comprehensive, data-based comp plan for the next 5 years of what we can do to improve housing, improve the lives of low to moderate income residents, maximizing our dollars to our best extent. And that's what we think this comp plan has done. I am going before council on Monday to ask for their consideration of a final approval of it. But I would like to know, do you all have any comments or anything that you all want to contribute as a response to any of these comments that I sent you previously? Or if you feel that what Goldsberg has already drafted as adequate, we definitely can keep with that.
I've got a question, I've got a comment on that, Nicole. So I'm fired again.
No, you good.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So since there were some questions, there were some comments on the plan, and then there was a very comprehensive written response to those written comments. Has there been a revisiting, or have you heard anything from those individuals that made the comments after they had a chance to review the explanations of their comments? Have their issues been resolved, or are they still have some things out there that they are concerned about?
Well, I will tell you that this information will be released to those parties tomorrow.
Okay.
The process with citizen participation is, yes, we want to address your concerns, and we hope that in our response, it clears up any misinformation. Reviewing the comments, a lot of this was, again, if you don't do this on a daily basis, and if you're not briefed on community development regularly, it is somewhat as layman term as we made it this time around, it can still be a twister, on someone. And so there was a lot of things that were just not calculated right, or not pulled right from here, or because you don't deal with it on a daily basis, you don't fully understand it. So Goldsberg response was to definitely, as you said, it's a very detailed, comprehensive response that we sought guidance from HUD on, and we hope that it will resolve or make things clearer to those that provided the comments. And what we are doing, which we are required to do, is those comments, along with City of Goldsboro response, is being submitted to HUD. It will be included, what we call the final comp plan. This is sent up to HUD. All of this will be included to them. All the links, all the links that we have acquired of YouTube videos and of our process, all of that, as well as some PowerPoint presentation that was made available to me, will be provided to HUD.
Good job. That was my concern, that we make sure that we address any issues that the individuals made for the certain issues. So I think that was good of our.
Yeah. And one other comment that I have on that is that a few months ago, when we had the trainer that came to us, I think it was from either Durham or Raleigh, and that was the time that we were made aware of, the commission was made aware of the fact that in addition to our duties as the Community Relations Commission, that we had been tasked to take on additional duties of another commission that had been disbanded for a lack of interest, or them not being able to meet on a regular basis. Is there? I mean, it seems like these issues, like you keep saying correctly, Shakol, for me personally, it's kind of mind blowing because I don't see this stuff all the time, and it takes me kind of a while to decipher it. Is there any plan on reconvening that other commission? I don't remember what the name of it was, but to have a group of people who are specifically interested, have a vested interest, or have some personal interest or personal knowledge or expertise in these areas.
Yeah. I will, and I've stated this before, the training that you're referencing when I was out on FMLA was an inadequate training, was not a full training. If I would have been here, I would have gave you a training that would have been encompassed of what your commission is truly, and it's a hybrid commission. The City Council adopted the change February 19, 2018, so any member that has come on this board since then, you all have received the bylaws that shows you what your responsibilities and duties are as a hybrid commission. that is your primary focus based off of your bylaws says you shall act as an advisory board to the director and city council to enhance community harmony, promote awareness of Goldsboro growing multiculturalism by facilitating community dialogue and meeting, coordinating with residents and organizational coalition to address community issues and concern. The Commission on Community Relations will also serve as the citizen input mechanism for the community in an advisory capacity to the city for community development administration program funded through Community Development Block Grants, CDBG, and Home Investment Partner Home Grant Funds. And I can provide you all these bylaws again. If you don't have the same bylaws you were provided when you first got on the board, and of course this information is the same information when you apply to be on the commission. It is on the web. And as I stated, it was adopted by ordinance February 19, 2018 by City Council. And at this time, from the further answer your question, Council has not directed me that they are looking to break up the Commission on Community Relations and Development as it is currently structured and adopted by the ordinance from February of 2018, but that is council's leisure to do so. They are the governing body that establishes boards and commission. I will say that I think, again, some of the misconstrued information is because if you look at something half full, you may think it's not the way it's supposed to be. And I will say that, again, the training you all had was a partial training. It did not tackle what your bylaws says you're supposed to be doing. It gave you half information of what your role is, not your full. But again, when you apply to be on the board, this was provided. And when those members who were on the board at the time council decided this, they were provided this information. So we can, definitely, if need be, we can definitely educate the public even more. Anyone that has any questions is free to reach out to our office or even the mayor's city manager office if they want to, but definitely allow us the chance to sit down and explain what the commission is. I don't want people to think that this is something that city council nor our department just willy-nilly just pulled out and did. I want them to know that this is something that is, by ordinance that city council adopted, and they are at their right to do so. But yeah, you're going to constantly receive information. That's just the nature of our role in the community, and that's what we want you all to be able to do. I need to be sure that you all have this information. Therefore, what we're going to do is I'm going to send you the bylaws again that you already previously had, because I want you to be able to be the citizen input and distribution mechanism to encourage involvement and engagement and understanding of what we do. And then when need be for us to step in and assist you, that's what we want to do. So I'll make sure you all get those bylaws again. And again, like I said, they're on the web for the general public to see under our boards and commission page, as well as the community relations page, web page as well.
And is there any plans in the near future, like you had said, to complete our training for the other partial part of our duties in the commission, to have some of these other things really gone through and explained, or, so that we can, me personally, will be able to adequately contribute in the areas that I'm not as well versed in?
Yeah, we can definitely do that. And the part that what you're referencing is what your roles and responsibility is as it pertains to the community development home. We can go in more depth training and information for that. That's not a problem.
Shakal, if I might, you had asked if there were any comments on the responses we got. And one thing I wanted to say was that I'm really pleased that we do have some residents who took the time to read this, and to offer, in some cases, not just criticisms, but some suggestions.
Yes.
Because it's easy to criticize, but to think about ways that things could be done better. And I hope that they're willing to put some muscle behind those suggestions and come forth and help with, if they believe this is a better way to do that, then help it happen.
I will tell you that this is the most citizen participation Goldsberg has had in nearly 20 years. So this is very good to finally submit a plan, a 5-year or 1 year to HUD that we have citizen participation beyond what our consultation of acquiring information for us to develop a draft. So it's amazing. I'm very happy about it.
HUD, are they primarily interested in the housing and affordable housing for underprivileged people? Do anybody address the drug and crime and police relations that's associated with being in public housing and low-income housing?
With HUD, the national objective is to provide decent, affordable housing, create suitable living arrangements, and eliminate slum and blight. That's our national objective. So all of that can encompass into that. There is an activity that is within the public service line item for HUD that allows you to do community policing and things like that. I think what you're looking for is more on our community relations side, where we would work with local officials in the community as well as our law enforcement to develop strategies and ideas that's comparable to our community in that area. So, and you can provide some CBG funds, but you would typically have to fund that through a nonprofit. To do it through city admin would be kind of tricky because I'm not an expert at that. And, we probably could hire a consultant, but it would have to be an activity that has that's tied to a public service type activities. But we can do that from our community relations side with the city of Goldsboro. And HUD we're very focused on improving neighborhoods, and that's part of it. That's all part of it.
Well, it seemed like to me then eliminating crime and drug trafficking would be a great way to, because it seemed like that's the plight of all low-income housing. The projects over here on Slocum Street, Alpha Arms Apartments, not to be calling nobody out, but it seems like if we're going to provide public housing for underprivileged kids, basically, because adults should be able to take care of themselves, what environment are we allowing them to grow up in, and what changes do we think they're going to make in their lives if they are allowed to live beside a dope house, or if they're allowed to see 3 or 4 people get shot and guys, not saying guys, but people walking around with guns and just living basically in a gangster environment. I'm not saying it's as terrible as Chicago, but still any environment that's like that is not conducive to good development when it comes to being a child growing up in there. How do we expect for them to change, to grow up, to try to change anything if they are constantly being allowed to live in that environment and we're doing nothing about it? But you can throw money to, you can get everybody a house, but if you're not doing anything to improve the environment in which these people are living, then you're really not accomplishing much.
Well, I think that's a holistic approach. Being, 41 years old and didn't get out of public housing until I was 25 with a daughter, living in my mother's apartment, 3-bedroom apartment with my other 3 siblings. I can tell you that the public housing here in Goldsboro, Housing Authority do receive HUD funding, which is different from ours, which is stated in this response. They do have strategies in place that they have identified that are in line with our comp plan of how they plan on tackling creating suitable living environments. One way that we look at it from our standpoint of how we are trying to provide that seamless ability of creating suitable living environments is the one thing I try to tell you as an example, not just for me, but others that were in public housing. If you can provide me tools to become self-sufficient, I won't repeat the cycle of my members of my family who were drug dealers and number runners. You know, I chose to take the tools that were provided me through self-sufficiency programs because I lived in public housing that were provided me for free, and they also provided me with transportation for free, daycare for my daughter for free, for me to come to Wayne Community College, which they put me on a bus bringing me from Mount Olive up here for a whole year and a half to get my associate. That changes mindsets, that break generational cycles. So that's one way. Crime, definitely working with your law enforcement and local officials, as well as neighborhood associations, is one way we're going to do it. It's a holistic approach than just tackling crime. You've got to give me a tool. You've got to give me a seed of what I can digest and grow in me for me not to repeat the cycle of what I see. And I say that from someone who grew up in public housing, had her bedroom window as a child shot up, laying in the bed, that for me not to repeat that same cycle. You know, it's a holistic approach, and that's what we hope that our partnering with community partners will do that in the law enforcement. It's not just eliminating crime, it's giving you food for thought that will change your life and those in your generational cycle. So, you know, it's gonna be an ongoing process that we're gonna have to do, and that's gonna be tackling that and other stuff too. It's not one area. Any other questions about the comp plan, the comments received, and Goldsberg response? If not, I would like to see if there's a motion by the commission to either recommend or not recommend the comp plan and AP as provided to City Council. And I might have made that confusing. Sorry.
All right. I make the motion that we adopt it.
All right, we have Ms. Amy Bauer that made the motion to adopt the 5-year comp plan and annual action plan as written. And that will be with us adding the information from this meeting in it as well. And then Mr. Steve McFarland seconded. Mr. Chair, I'm gonna hand it over to you to get the votes.
All righty. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
For those opposed say nay. All right, looks like it is approved.
All right.
So we'll move to new business, item A.
All right. For rules and procedure for electronic boards and commission meeting, the City Council adopted rules and procedures to be conducted by itself and governing body as a governing body and all boards under the council's authority as a result of COVID-19. And you were provided this during your June package, but I wanted you all to have it again so that you understand how we're going to function in this new world of COVID-19. Which is going to probably be these hybrids of in-person and virtual. So, does anyone have any questions of this information? You've had it for about a month. I just want to, really, if you have any questions about these, you can ask me, and we can definitely chew it up. And all right. Well, if not, there's another part under this that I really wanted to be able to address. Due to comments and emails received by Goldsboro, and after consultation with our HUD rep, I would like to state, Goldsboro Commission on Community Relations and Development is responsible to advise the community relations development concerning community development and housing needs and propose programs that you become aware of in Goldsboro that throughout the program year that could help us meet those community development housing needs, as well as provide the Community Relations Department with the feedback after reviewing Goldsboro Comp Plan, AAP, as well as our, and AAP, again, that's the annual action plan that we do once a year as a follow-up to the 5-year, and then what is called our CAPER, which is our consolidated annual performance evaluation report that has to go to HUD every year. So you will get those before they're submitted to HUD to review. And so that's one of your roles. Your role is also to provide Goldsboro residents with information concerning community development block grants, needs, and program proposals, including you are expected to participate in at least one public hearing and meeting facilitated by the Community Relations Department staff per year. For example, the May 22nd virtual public meeting held before the Commission on Community Relations Development to obtain citizen input in regards to housing and non-housing needs as part of Goldsberg Comp Plan and AAP, which was a very successful one. I will tell you, 10 years, I've never had anyone to participate in our public meetings for soliciting non- and housing needs. So I thank you all. That's a testament that, one, the method that Goldsboro chose to reach out is reaching the community. It's a testament that the community is interested and engaging, and it's a testament of what you all are doing as a commission to make them aware, as well as our stakeholders and partners who, I got to give a shout out to Goldsboro Housing Authority. They advertised on their webpage, their Facebook page, to their residents of the virtual public meeting. And so social media, our publications in the Goldsboro News August, you all, the city's Facebook, our email blast, it is finally, I think, paying off to where people are making sound decisions to be aware of these fundings and where they are going. So it's a great transparency and accountability, and we are so thankful for that. Also, I just really want to state that otherwise, what in a nutshell you are doing when it comes down to your CDBG funds is you are to assist the Community Relations Department with encouraging involvement and participation from citizens of Goldsboro. It is not your responsibility to write or fully develop a comp plan or annual action plan as has been stated in the community. I even had that confirmed with HUD. You all are not a consultant firm that has been providing contract services. You are an advisory board. You are a community engaging board. And what you do means a lot and helps us to do what we need to do and know what we need to know to develop the plans that we develop. And I just want to state that, Goldsboro City Council is the governing, policy-making, and authority board over federal, local, state funds received by the Community Relations Department. But make it clear, your role on this commission is vital and fully appreciated by this community relations staff beyond anything else that is said in the community. While you serve in an advisory capacity to Goldsberg throughout the entire program year, we thank you. Your bylaws further state the information I had just read that Elvira pulled out of me a little too early, but I thank her for that, of what you all also are supposed to help with enhancing community harmony and promoting awareness in Goldsboro, and you do that well, and I'm very proud to serve as your staff liaison. And I understand right now COVID-19 is posing a roadblock to how we want to do our more community relations, human relations side. But hopefully this will not be with us for long, and we can get back on the charge of unified in Goldsboro the way we have done in these last few years.
Shekel, I've got a comment on that point right there. Elvira again. With COVID, I mean, it's a challenge, but have you heard of, or we at some point discuss some ways that we can continue to have events or to bring the public together, maybe even virtually, because we've had to cancel or postpone a lot of the things that we normally would have done to promote unity and amongst the citizens. So is there anything, or could we have a discussion at some time about what we can maybe do, even though we're going through COVID, to reinstitute some of those events? And I'm not sure that there's anything that's coming up over the summer or early fall that we already know we're going to have to cancel, is there some way that we can have an alternative event or modify that event to still have it in some kind of way?
Well, I can tell you that the State Human Relations Commission has reached out to all the local commission, and they're compiling information, asking us questions, and we're having that dialogue to see what we can do. I tell you, I've been real worried because the MLK, you know, that's the City of Goldsboro biggest unifying event. Actually, it's the biggest for the county. And so that's a concern. So we are exploring those. So I should hopefully have something pretty soon to bring before the commission for you all, for your consideration, and also your input of how we should try to definitely do that. I would say we need to put that on our August meeting to discuss, and because, you know, MLK, and then you think interfaith breakfast and the human relations banquet, you know, we got to figure out, like everyone is saying, we've got to figure out how to navigate, adapt, and live through this, because it may be with us for a while. But we got to do it in a safe manner, but we got to do it in a way that we're not going to lose each other, and we can still unify. So yeah, we're going to have those discussions in the coming months. And like I said, the State Human Commission has been reaching out to the local level and compiling some information to kind of help us with some best practice to suggest to you all, for you all to consider, and also maybe advance those ideas. Thank you, Val. Does the commission, any other commission members have any comments or questions to what I just stated?
Well, I liked what you asked about, and I'm new to the commission, so it
I must be muted because I've been trying to speak and I haven't been able to. Can you hear me now?
Hawaza, hold on one moment. Miss Amy has the floor. Let me, that's the beauty of virtual. We don't, hold on one moment. I promise you I'll come right back to you.
Okay, yeah, I've been trying to speak off and on and nobody was answering me. Okay.
We'll give you the
All
chance.
right,
Go ahead,
sorry.
Miss Amy.
All right, so I liked what you had to say, and I see that the housing is one part of the pie to get the neighborhoods up in better shape. It would be interesting to pull in some of the other parts of the pie as a meeting so that we knew the whole situation, since we're kind of the ambassadors of education or communication with the community. So like you said, I understand what you're talking about. I live in one of those neighborhoods, so it's good to know, so you can tell them, this is where you go if you need this, or we're doing this, this is our part, and this is their part, and I think it's a great idea to
Yeah.
pull something together. Chicole's worked really hard on the housing, which is a huge part, but we do need those other social parts too.
Yeah, and that's one of the beauties of the comp plan at AP. It gives you all a roadmap to give them to what the Goldsberg is planning on doing with their funding. What I can provide you all that would be helpful, because it's also referencing this comp plan. We're required to look at local or regional plans that would be a good complement for us to either piggyback off of or expand off of. And Goldsboro Housing Authority has a 5-year plan that we reference heavily here in the sections that it's required for. I will email that to you all, because it tells you what their strategies are and the things that they're going to be doing in the community, their communities and surrounding. So I'll email you all the Housing Authority 5-year plan. Now, they make that public. They do the same process we do. They may do a little more in depth because they have many communities that they have to do little residential council meetings. But I will provide you all with that, so you can see that. And anything else that we are made aware of that is out in the community that is like not available on the city's Facebook page or web page, we can push that out to you all. And that's what we typically, I will tell you, do is try to provide you all with what events and activities are going on, what services are available. Right now, there hasn't been anything. There hasn't been anything really promoted other than right now, locally, there's a lot of COVID testing, but from the time frame of, February to now, with COVID, that just has stopped a lot of things. But we do try to, and we have in the past, make sure the commission was aware of any programs and activities by other agencies when they make us aware, especially like the sororities and fraternities who put on a lot of community events, the college and them, but we will definitely make sure you're aware of that stuff so that you can be, the ambassadors that provide that input. But for the sake of like the federal money that you all or the advisory board over, we will make sure you have this comp plan, we'll make sure you have the annual action plan, and of course our meetings monthly, you will know, where we're at and what we're planning on doing moving forward so that you stay abreast with the federal. Yes, thank you.
Well, he's basically said a lot of what I wanted to say, but I can say this. I want to thank you for your plethora of information that you've shared with this committee today and always keeping us updated on the things that we need to do. You're complimenting us, but without the information that you provided, we wouldn't have questions to ask. So I would just wanted to thank you for that, because Amy kind of touched on a lot of the other things. But I apologize. Apparently, I had muted it, and I was just talking, and nobody was listening.
That's all right. That is all right. If there's nothing else, I'll let the chairman move us forward.
All righty. Items requiring individual action.
There's none, Chairman.
All right. Community Relations Director's report.
I've provided you all this information previously, and it's in your report. It's the February to June monthly reports. So you all should have had time to look through it. You had any questions of me, I would love to entertain and answer any of them now. But I'm not going to bore you to go through something that you all have had for over a month to read and read it over to you again. But if you have any questions or anything that you've seen with the activities of the department and within the community in the last, since February to June, I'll be glad to answer.
Great.
I think we don't have any, Chairman.
All righty. Community members report and recommendation.
Of course, this is the time that if any member of the commission has any reports or recommendation beyond anything you've said during the meeting that you want to present to the commission. And I'll open the floor, Mr. Chair, to the members.
Just one comment. So we're not going to be able to recapture anything that we missed because of this COVID thing?
Are you saying sort of like the events?
The events, the meeting, I guess the meetings are irrelevant now. Since they're but the events that were canceled, are they important to where they could be rescheduled, or are they just gone altogether for this year?
That's something that we would have to look at. I mean, if you try to plan these events in the fall, you got it coming right back up in January, February, March.
Yeah.
And again, so that might be why I would recommend to the board to just let's move on to the next year and plan it as big as we can plan it, and be complement to the fact of the COVID-19. Even if we can't do in person, do something virtual, some type of publication we've got to do something. We've got to do something. So that would be my suggestion, because you will be coming up on these events coming up again so soon. I wouldn't suggest you to reschedule them in the fall. If the commission had asked, my recommendation to you all.
Well, I think we should spend our time and energy on planning for the next year. There are a lot of things that's going to be happening during this COVID-19. And from my understanding, we're even going to have higher rates of the virus with the August coming in, as well as November. We're going to have the flu. We're going to still have COVID-19. So I think that if we would spend the time working on what we want to do in 2019 and working on the strategies and what we want to do.
And again, that's up to the commission. You know, I will tell you that, you know, we definitely, I think next month need to start talking about what we're going to do and try to have a plan A and a plan B moving forward. I really do. Because I think if we go another year where we're not as present, what you all have already done in the community is going to start get lost. And we need to keep, we got the momentum. You all have done things that the commission hadn't done in years, and you've got people engaged, and we need to keep it that way.
I agree.
So that will be a item for discussion for the August meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
And pretty much every meeting moving forward.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I don't think anyone else has any other committee report recommendation.
All righty, I see that we don't have any closed sessions. And so, we can adjourn this meeting by someone making a motion.
I move that we adjourn this meeting.
All right, that's Ms. All right, Ms. Walker Jones did the motion, and Ms. Valerie Johnson, from what I heard, did the second. Am I right?
Right.
Okay.
All right.
And I thank you all. Please stay safe. Thank you, Chairman.
You're welcome.
This wasn't so hard on me. I was kind of scared to do this virtual with my chairman not next to me. But this worked pretty good.